Hey guys, welcome to our NicKey Performance channel. And here we are at the NicKey Performance headquarters in Loves Park, Illinois. On a cold December morning, we had some wind blow one of the letters down here, but there we go, just letting people know that we custom build gassers and build our kits right here at NicKey Performance. And it's December, the week before Christmas of 2024, and 2025 will be the NicKey Business Corporation, NicKey Chevrolet's 100th anniversary. And here we are walking into the shop. There's Beth, who takes care of the office for us. And yeah, we're car guys. Somebody's getting crankshafts for Christmas. Look at that, guys. Lots of parts and memorabilia. Kind of neat. Guys that used to Dick Harrell. One of our customers made that for us regarding the new Supercars. Some of the old NicKey advertising. A little note from our good friend Arnie the Farmer Beswick, who we've had the honor and pleasure of racing against over the years. There's the NicKey Nova, owned and driven and raced by Dick Harrell, with the first Nova subframes. And those were the first frames that we built when we took over the NicKey operations. We always wanted to incorporate that style of build, and we started with the Novas. So we actually copied what Bill Thomas Race Cars out of Anaheim, California did for Dick Harrell. Now we made some modifications to adapt it to what was going on today, and the ability to resell the kits at a reasonable price. But we basically started with that. That was designed, engineered by Bill Thomas Race Cars, Anaheim, California, back in the 1965, 1966 era. And then Bill Thomas also got involved with making parts such as motor mounts to put big block Chevy engines into Tri-5 Chevys, and that evolved into our Tri-5 gasser kits. Gassers are one of our genres of vehicles that we build here, and I'll kind of go over it as I walk into the shop. Here's our friends over at Auto World that have made some really cool die casts and slot cars. You'll notice that the NicKey is beating the Yanko Deuce Nova, which is a very real world application. And then some other really cool, there's the 66 Dick Harrell Nova. There is a 67 NicKey Z28 in diecast. There is the first 6th gen that we built, build number 1, and that's kind of what I was going to talk about in that. We do different things here. So we build modern supercars. In fact, here we are at Sick Summer Racing Kryptonite, which is known as one of the evil twins. We have 2 virtually identical cars that we run. There's the original NicKey Chevrolet before they turned the K backwards. And this is circa, there's Hoss Cartwright, who was, if you guys remember Bonanza, who was the spokesperson for NicKey Chevrolet. Lots of cool history, and there will be a book coming out in regards to the NicKey history for the 100th anniversary. A lot of cool stuff that some of our customers have built for us. Again, there's the NicKey Nova with the first straight axle kit. There's a Dick Harrell Nova. The gentleman that made these dioramas for us. There's the Dick Harrell car in the background. Other Dick Harrell cars. Kind of neat stuff. If you stop by the office, you can see that. There's a ZL1 number 1, Fred Gibb in the background. That's owned by some good friends and customers of ours. Who it's in a museum in the Pacific Northwest. Pretty significant car, ZL1 number 1. And so if you come to our shop, this is what you see when you first walk in. It's not fancy, guys, but it's where we get the job done for you. And one thing I want to mention is we appreciate y'all. We appreciate those that patronize our business and spend their money with us. The real world application is, yes, the owner here is a bike guy. There's a couple of his motorcycles, some of them. Here's a gasser. It's a Steel Willys 1941 with a blown 409. And it belongs to a very good friend of ours. This was built by the NicKey Gasser Garage when it was not at this location. Anything that we built, I'm not in the shop building every single car. I hire people to do that. And it's getting more and more difficult to hire the right guys that meet the standard of excellence that we seek, but also that know how to do these things, that know how to weld and fabricate and tune electrical components and computers and build modern engines. So the 3 different main segments that we're in, and I'm gonna, as I go around the shop here, there's you know, we deal in vintage muscle cars. Numbers match vintage muscle cars, and we've restored and work on some of the tops in their field. You know, for example, one of our specialties are supercars, like Yankos and vintage NicKey cars and motion cars, and we've worked on some of the absolute very best of those cars in the industry. Here's some cars slated and currently being worked on, waiting for parts in some cases. And speaking of parts, yes, we have lots of parts. So modern, you know, like for example, we built the very first 800 wheel horsepower Hellcat way back when, and it is just a bolt-on car. Yeah, these cars are stout. Here's the NicKey Z28. We designed a package and developed a pretty cool car, and it's here for some maintenance work to get ready for this coming spring. Here's another NicKey modern Super Camaro, another one of the genres that we work on. And this particular car is getting a supercharger. The customer's been running it the way it is, naturally aspirated, and he said it's time for a supercharger. And then another one of our genres are Tri-5s and gassers. So here are, and these cars are going to look very different when completed, but just to give you an idea that we do have them in here. Another modern Z06 Corvette, Z07 Corvette, getting ready for some modifications. Then we go through these doors and into the shop, where we have our, oh, look at this. I got a guy working on a gasser. Meet the actual ace who does our current fabrication work and build mods on our vintage gassers. And here's one of our Tri-5 gasser kits that we are installing and mocking up. And we're going to do something a little bit different, because this car is going to run down the track and it's going to pull some serious wheelies, and we need a little bit more clearance than what we've had in the past on our kits. So we're kind of working on that as well. And so you'll see vintage muscle cars being worked on. Original owner Corvette, bought it as a young man. It's here for a NicKey Stage 3 conversion, just like the old days. That's going to be one bitchin' vet. A couple of Oldsmobiles, a vintage W30 and a 442 convertible. 1971 Chevelle getting an LS7, modern LS7 conversion, plus a lot of other things like a modern SS style dash. Here's a pretty cool car, 1970 Chrysler convertible. This thing's bigger than my house with a modern Hemi engine in it. So yeah, we do some pretty cool stuff here. Here's a Hellcat on the dynamometer. We baseline everything first, so we have not started to work on that car. It's slated to be worked on later this year, but we did do a dyno baseline on that car. Our alignment rack, alignments are very important, whether it's road race cars, drag race cars, vintage gassers that you're driving down the street. Alignment and geometry, very, very important. And yes, we do all that right here in-house, always have, and always will do those types of things. So here we are, you can see kind of the things that we got going on. Oh, here's a couple pretty cool cars. This is my dad's little Fiat Topolino, in case you guys know it. So we'll work on just about anything, especially if it belongs to my dad, who taught me my craft early on. He's 85 years old, and you'll still see him cruising around town in this car. It's in for a little bit of maintenance work, but yes, he drives this car to church, to the cemetery. He complains that it doesn't quite have enough power, even though we hopped it up. I found some custom racing pistons for this 1948 Fiat in Switzerland and had them shipped in to raise the compression. Problem is, there's only so much compression raising you can do because of the limited space on the cylinder heads. And, and we didn't want to CNC up a set of cylinder heads. And I told Dad, I go, this has a 500cc 4-cylinder engine in it. I said, I can put a really stout motorcycle engine in here and make this thing zing. But he's a purist. He's like, it's got to be the stock architecture, stock configuration, and any parts need to have been designed for the car. So here's Dad enjoying his car. And we'll go over here and see what Max has got going on. What's cooking, Max? You're not making a lot of noise.
No, I know it's not.
Fire and brimstone. So this is a modern 6th-gen Camaro getting a NicKey Stage 2 kit. We're bumping this one on pump gas from 650 horsepower to 900. It's going to the stock short block is capable of more. There you got the oil pump upgrade, because some of these cars had issues with their oil pumps. But a very, very neat package that we developed. Uses our proprietary camshaft. Just cool stuff. So NicKey Performance of Loves Park, the real deal. We work on 3 different mainly types of vehicles. Vintage muscle cars, one segment. Number 2 is the modern muscle cars, the late model Chryslers and Chevrolets, Corvettes, Camaros, Hellcats, and vintage style gassers. And all of these vehicles, all these different types of vehicles, we drive, we race, we run them down the track and make sure they do what they're supposed to do so that our customers end up with an excellent product. Don't mind the shop, guys. It's kind of like organized chaos. You'll see that we do have, we're not like a full CNC shop, but we do have machines. We do have, here's our plasma cutter where we make some of the parts that we use, and then some of the machines. Yeah, the guys were making chips, guys. You know, we do custom fab parts when they are not readily available. But just kind of a look into our operation. Oh, here's something cool. These are actually NicKey Edition headers that are slated to be installed on builds over the winter. We actually had our own style of header made for the new modern cars. There's some vintage small block headers for a Tri-5 Chevy, and lots of other cool stuff here in the shop. So thanks to everyone for supporting the business, and Merry Christmas 2024 from the guys over at NicKey.